So the road to Emmaus is always such a wonderful post-resurrection story. It is unique to Luke's gospel, but it accounts for things that take place in other gospels in the post-resurrection stories. And it is so spiritually rich. I was telling someone last night, I could just pick any single verse from the road to Emmaus, and I could give a homily on that verse. I could figure it out. It might not be a good homily, but I could figure it out. But if we take the time to just walk through what happens and interpret it through a spiritual lens, through a metaphorical lens, we can see our spiritual lives, our spiritual development as Catholics living today, right there in the story we just heard. So first off, how's the story begin? Jesus is dead. And everybody's scared. And these two guys heard an account this morning that Jesus' body is missing. They don't know what that means. They don't know what's happened. They're getting out of town. Now, my professor in seminary, one of my scripture professors, used to always say, you cannot psychologize the characters in the gospel. You don't know what they're thinking unless the character or the narrator tells you what they're thinking. So you don't know for sure why these two people are leaving Jerusalem. I'm willing to venture a guess that they know, in light of these revelations that Jesus' body is not in the tomb, something bad's about to happen. Pilate's not going to be happy about this. Caiaphas is not going to be happy about this. We got to get out of here. I don't know for sure, but as they leave Jerusalem, Jesus starts walking alongside them. But their eyes are prevented from recognizing him. In the midst of crisis, at the moments of fear, and when life and death are on the line, God is there. Those are the moments he chooses to encounter us. We are the ones who have failed to recognize his presence as we walk along the way. As they begin to discuss with Jesus what's been going on, because Jesus plays coy, it's very funny, Jesus then breaks open the scriptures. So often, when we find ourselves in bad places, when we find ourselves in moments of crisis, moments of tragedy, moments of doubt, it is a bit of scripture, or perhaps a particular prayer, or maybe a particular homily, you're welcome, or the advice of a friend, or some YouTube video from Bishop Barron or Father Mike Schmidt or whomever that produces an emotional response. What do the two disciples say later? Were our hearts not burning within us as he spoke to us on the way and broke open the scriptures? If we choose to walk the path, we will encounter the Lord, probably not recognizing who he is for the fullness of what he can do, but we'll have a moment of emotional encounter that will drive us towards something. A moment of joy and peace out of nowhere just because you came to church. or maybe a moment of guilt and shame. But that emotional response is not the end of the journey. That's not what church is for. That's a tool God is using to get us to our destination. As they arrive at the place they wish to go, or to stay the night because the sun is setting, Jesus gives the impression that he's going to keep going on. This is illogical. And the two disciples would have made that abundantly clear. Like, you don't travel at night, sir. There's lions. That's not a joke. There's actually, at this time period, there's lions in the Middle East. It's a problem. You guys aren't taking lions as seriously as I thought you would. Imagine walking outside at night and there's lions. In addition to bandits, in addition to no streetlights, there's no light. It's just dark. So in the ancient world, you don't travel at night. But Jesus gives the impression that he's going to continue on. After that emotional response, after you feel God's love or recognize your own sinfulness or have a great desire for virtue or peace, and you're pulled emotionally towards God, it'll seem like something's wrong. I get this as a priest all the time in the confessional. I get the negative end. Father, it's been 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years since my last confession. Okay, cool. Like, you want me to be shocked? Like, it's not shocking. 60% of Catholics don't go to church on Sunday. I'm not shocked. It's not that big a deal. God's mercy is easy. You make it difficult. But if we're looking for that emotional response, if we're not willing to fight, if we're not willing to tell Jesus, no, stay with me. We want you to stay with me. Why do you? If we're not willing to push, then Jesus will continue on the way. If we don't want him to stay with us, he won't. And that doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Because he's God, he should want my salvation. He does. He wants you to want your salvation. And for that, you have to invite him inside. The discussion needs to continue. The emotions need to go away. And we need to sit and have a meal. It is here, when we recognize Jesus in the Eucharist, that we recognize Jesus for who he actually is. And when we encounter his real presence here at this holy table, when we hold out our hands to receive him, when we consume his body, blood, soul, and divinity, and he becomes a part of us, when we recognize Jesus in the breaking of the bread, our spiritual journey still isn't complete. Because what is the disciples' reaction? The whole journey makes sense now. Everything came together. All the trials, all the tribulations, all the difficulties, all the misunderstandings, it's all okay. Everything's okay. Oh, I got to tell other people. They left in the middle of the night. Remember I said lions? Lions. And they ran back to Jerusalem. They put themselves at physical risk to share the gospel. When have we done that? That's the response. And if the response isn't there, I'm still at a previous step. Maybe I'm still struggling to recognize Jesus here in the breaking of the bread. Maybe I'm frustrated with God not doing what I want to do and giving the idea that He's going to continue on and leave me behind. Or maybe I'm all the way back in Jerusalem, hiding in a dark room. The journey always comes back to the beginning and then starts again. Because there's always more to learn. There is always more to grow. There's always more to give up. There's always virtue to be gained. But until we recognize Jesus here, we haven't quite made it to Emmaus yet.